Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sidonie ROBERT. I'm from Sea Naval, Permanent Working Group of Sea Europe, the Shipyards and Marine Equipment Manufacturers Association of Europe. Welcome to today's roundtable on a major topic in the naval shipbuilding industry, diversity and inclusion. The naval industry, and particularly shipbuilding, plays a critical role in security and technological innovation in Europe. Yet it is also an industry where diversity policies remain both a challenge and an opportunity. Today, our aim is to explore diversity and inclusion from three complementary angles. Institutional, with a NATO Special Representative of Secretary General for Women, Peace and Security, Mrs. Irene FELLIN. Then from shipyard perspective, with Cristina Munoz-Garcia, Key Account Manager for Europe and Turkey at NAVANTIA. And finally, from workforce perspective, with Cedric LORILLEC, Sales Manager for Mission System at HENSOLDT France. With this roundtable, we aim to highlight the benefits diversity can bring to our industry, the challenges that remain, and potential solutions that we can propose. So first of all, let's introduce our first panelist, as I said, Mrs. Irene FELLIN, NATO Secretary General's representative for Women, Peace and Security, with over 15 years of experience as a gender advisor and consultant across organizations like Women in International Security, the International Affairs Institute, and various UN and national agencies. Mrs. FELLIN has been advocating for advancing women leadership and professional growth in international peace, security, and defense. We look forward to hearing from you insights on how NATO approaches diversity and inclusion, on your thoughts on what is currently done within the industry. So please, you can take the floor.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the other speakers and to the audience. And let me start by thanking for the invitation, especially Davide Cucino from Fincantieri and Sidonie ROBERT from Sea Europe. It's a great opportunity to be here, and I have to say it's a bit outside of my comfort zone in the sense that I'm more used to institutional realities. But it's a very important opportunity because, as you said, my role as a special representative of the Secretary General of NATO is to ensure that the alliance integrates the gender perspective and implement the women, peace and security in everything we do across the three core tasks. This applies also to the defense industry and in particular today to the context of the Navy. So what do we do, and why is this important? Why is it important to guarantee different perspectives, and why is it important to guarantee the full, safe and meaningful participation of women in defense and in security domain? For us, it's important because it's based on our values as an alliance, but it's important because it's a strategic imperative. And we stress this as an alliance in our policy work, and most recently during the summit in Washington, our leaders endorsed a new policy on women, peace and security that really establishes the policy framework for our work. But as we all know that moving from policy and values into practice, it's the most complicated dimension. So here the point is, how is this relevant to the naval domain? A domain that in particular shipbuilding plays a fundamental role in national defense and global security and technological innovation. We know that each and every one of our NATO allies has to rely upon technological advantages to ensure their maritime security and national security more broadly. This includes cutting-edge naval technology, advanced ships and relevant equipment to maintain operational effectiveness. So this makes shipbuilding not only a technical field, but also a strategic one, and one which requires incorporation of diverse perspectives, including those of women. Preserving NATO's technological edge in order to ensure the alliance can fulfill its core task is reliant upon making sure that defense material is fit for purpose and can be used and operated safely by all intended users. And that's a very important point because The more I study and learn about this, the more I see that we have this tendency to have material and gears done in a neutral way. So women do not have a combat uniform tailor-made around their anthropomorphic data. So bulletproof vests, helmets, and boots with clear consequences on their own safety and the capacity to combat and defend. And the same if we look at space. Space is gender, so a ship, it is gender. The way in which women and men perceive and use the space is not the same. And this is why it's important to have this reflection today. If we want to attract more women, we need to make sure that what we produce is produced to fit for the purpose, as I said, by all individuals. And this will create more inclusive, resilient teams and address current labor shortages, strengthens the overall security framework of NATO and its allies. Historically, we know that naval shipbuilding and maritime professions were largely seen as male occupation, and not only this area. I mean, many more areas within our society, but certainly the defense industry remains very male-dominated, as I would say the entire defense and security sector. But we also know that during major conflicts, like the Second World War, women were recruited into shipbuilding and naval construction solely due to labor shortages, in particular in the US and the UK. We know that war and conflicts represent an accelerator within the society when it comes to gender roles. But what happens in the aftermath of war is that then very often women went back to their previous role. Now, if we look at Ukraine today, for example, we see that this is happening again, not only in terms of combating on the front line, but also as part of the defense industry and the production. They had to increase their production, men are fighting, women are taking the space. So my question would be, are we ready in our society to welcome this contribution on a permanent basis? This will be part of this reality once just peace will be achieved in Ukraine. I think that this is what we have to aim at, a more inclusive society where women and men work together in a more integrated and stable way. But today the diversity numbers within the maritime industry remain fairly low. Women currently account for only the 29% of the overall workforce in the general industry and 20% of the workforce of national maritime authorities in allied states. And the most underrepresented naval domain is seafaring, with allied community only made up to the 2% of women. Italy has made some progress in integrating women in the military, and these strides are part of a broader effort to modernize the armed forces and comply with international standards on gender equality. But we still remain very low in our data, while we see a positive trend in the past years, but we reach only the 6%. And I take Italy as one alive because it's my own country, and that's why. But I would like, talking still about Italy, and since I was invited here, of course, by Fincantieri to join, acknowledge the different efforts that are done to increase diversity. And I was very impressed by the work that Fincantieri does in its own diversity, equity, and inclusion action plan. It's a strong commitment that is demonstrated by signing the Women's Empowerment Principle that aims to foster equal conditions for women in shipbuilding and the naval domain. And it's important to understand the contribution for women. Now we are looking at this sector, but we had a conversation before joining the panel, and I learned a lot about the way in which they are implementing the plan that could be applied in any other sector in the end. Of course, you can tailor-made around the characteristic of the manufacturer that is specific, but this is a cultural issue on how we want to approach diversity and inclusion, and it's extremely important to have success stories and good examples to present. And in their reality, their pledge of making the domain more equipped for female needs, it leads to increasing the number, because now today women make up the 15% of employees of their company, with 40% of those women being on the board. And it's important, if even if the number might appear low at the beginning, to showcase the positive trend. And the organization establishes a crucial standard for the industry, demonstrating that it's possible to implement policies that attract women. And we know that we need to lead by example. We know that you cannot be what you cannot see. I'm learning this as a mother with my girls. When they look outside and think about the future, they project themselves, and they use often the male wording in Italian. They say, I want to be a policeman, or I want to be a soldier, because they say, I don't see women in this role. And that's very important to think, if we want to change this, that we need to lead by example, having positive role models. And we will attract more women only if we change our policies. And one way to do this is to look into the education and what we need nowadays to change it. So all the part about the STEM and math and science, because the way in which we do our warfighting today is very much connected with technology and drones and artificial intelligence. So if we want to break this cycle, that's extremely important. And this is something I learned in these days. This week at NATO, we hosted the personal directors from the capitals to look into the problem of fourth generation. We have a demographic problem across all the allies, and we as a NATO want to support our allies to see how maybe to develop new standards and create new policies to try to address and solve the problems. Of course, one of the problems, or the solution of the problem, is women. But then how can we have more women join the armed forces? Or maybe do we need to define the needs that we have today in a different way? And that's why our diversity and inclusion plan can be really fit for the purpose. We'd like to share 3 considerations on this before concluding. And one is really to look at the needs today. So what are the standards? If we maintain only one single entry point for all careers in the army, for example, we will find only one standard type of soldier. But today, as we said, there are different ways to contribute in the defense and the industry. And a lot applies to the cyberspace and cyber domain, where the physical standards are not the same as the ones that are required to the front line. And this diversity applies between the genders, so between men and women, but also within the same gender. We don't need the same for a pilot of drone that what is required for someone who fights on the front line. So diversifying, the standards for what the requirements would, enlarge the pool of candidates. The other is the flexibilities of career between the private and the public sector. And this applies for women, and both men and women, but women in different moments of the career, they can have different needs, linked to maternity, linked to the possibility of traveling or to fighting or being on mission. That's why it would be very important to differentiate also this career path and create a possibility to attract more women and retain them, because then we see the dropping off that it's not only part of recruitment, but it's also on retention. And then it's really to see what we need as career, the kind of skills that we need. And I was looking around and looking at this how this domain is changing in terms of the drones and the artificial intelligence on all the digital part. That's also changing what is needed to have more the right skills to respond of the need of the production and what the input is. So, and to do this, to conclude, I would say that, again, as I said to my colleague, to the general sitting in the room the other day, I know that it's sometimes difficult to listen to me or to us when we talk about diversity, or especially with women. I carry this on my title, Women, Peace and Security. But all the policies we do, they are not addressed to women only. Of course, this agenda I work on wants to highlight the impact on war and conflict on women, especially when it comes to violence against them, conflict-related sexual violence, and the disproportionate impact, also economic impact and security that this have. But it wants to look into the role and the contribution of women mainly, part of the conflict management and response, but I would say also on the conflict prevention and everything that it's around. So if our policy on diversity and inclusion address the society as a whole, and we generate a different culture, the impact will be both on men and women. And this is only if we have an holistic approach to diversity that we will be able to find proper solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The fact what you said about holistic approach to diversity brings me to another perspective of this topic. Thank you very much again for your intervention. I will look and pass the floor then to Cristina Munoz Garcia, Key Account Manager to Europe and Turkey at NAVANTIA. She is a naval architect and marine engineer with 12 years of engineering experience before stepping into her current position. And Mrs. Munoz Garcia brings technical and industry experience to the table and a different perspective on diversity and inclusion. So she will share the challenges that NAVANTIA as a shipyard is facing in promoting diversity of different profiles and having this global approach of diversity, as well as the initiatives NAVANTIA is doing to address these challenges. So please, you may take the floor.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me to this round table. I'm very glad to be here with you. And I would like to begin introducing my company. NAVANTIA is a Spanish naval shipbuilding company. We have another divisions, but the biggest one is the naval shipbuilding. We are member of Sea Naval. We are 100% state-owned company, established more than 300 years ago. We have more than 5,000 employees in Spain, and we have 3 branches out of Spain. We are an international company. Our branches are in Australia, United Kingdom, and Saudi Arabia. And we have several commercial offices all around the world. And, well, I think it's a global image of the company. If we change into diversity, which is the area that brings us here, I would like to say first where's the company now? What are we? Where are we? And on the other hand, what are we doing to change the present state? We have a diversity plan going on in the company, and this plan is mainly focused in 4 major challenges. One of them is gender, as my colleague was talking about deeply. Another one is age. The third one is culture and disabled people. So we have 4 major changes. And where are we in each of these topics? Regarding gender, we are more or less 20% women in NAVANTIA. And the objective of the company is to increase this percentage up to 20% in the next years. So if we look at the different areas of the company, in naval shipbuilding, the number of the percentage of women in the company is around 15%. Sorry. And in the corporative areas, this figure increases up to 30%. Talking about age, the average age of the company is around 46 years, which is quite high. And we have done quite a strong effort in the last years, because some years before, the average age was 52, which is quite high. In the high levels of the company, the average age is over 50, and we are recruiting new people with a very ambitious plan. And the new people, the average age is around 34 years old. The third topic, which was culture, we have only 2% of international profiles in the company. So we have a lot of work to do. We would like to increase it up to 4% in the next year. So after, I will explain some of our initiatives. And in the disabled people, we are very proud of having 2% of disabled people in the company for a long time, for years. I've been in the company for more than 25 years, and since I joined the company, we are maintaining this figure. But we have launched policies to increase this figure as well. So that was the idea of where are we now, and what are you doing in order to change all those figures that I was explaining before. In gender, the idea is to increase the number of people, number of women, and we have a policy to increase it in directive positions. We have a training plan and a promotion plan as well. And when we make the recruiting of people or promoting of people, the CVs, the curriculum vitae, are blind. So the people who decide cannot decide on gender. In age, we are recruiting young people below 35 years old. Actually, the percentage is around 20 people, lower than 35 years old. And the objective is pretty soon to increase it up to 25%. We have intergenerational workshops. We have launched this initiative this year, and we are going to continue next year with more than 100 people participating, with people of different ages. So we try to avoid discrimination for age, because people are intercommunicating and knowing what are the differences of ideas and ways of working and etc. between people of different ages, and it is being very positive. In culture, we are offering international mobility in our different branches, and we are launching scholarships with foreign universities. In disabled people, we are in contact with disabled associations like Down Syndrome Association and others. And we are trying to incorporate more disabled people in the company in different profiles where they can match very well. And well, apart from that, there are many other initiatives, because we have a diversity plan. And for example, there is the Week of the Diversity with a lot of initiatives in it. A diversity communication plan. There are workshops against unconscious discrimination. And they are being accepted very well by our employees, and having very good results, surprising results. And well, I don't want to be very long, and that's all from my part.
Okay, thank you very much. A very interesting and concrete approach to diversity from shipyard perspective. This Then we will follow up with another very concrete approach brought by Mr. Cedric LORILLEC, sales manager for mission system at HENSOLDT, Nexia France. As a former naval officer of the French Navy, Mr. LORILLEC will share insights based on his own experience, emphasizing the critical needs for diverse and operational profiles within the industry. So you may take the floor, please.
So thank you for the invitation. So yes, I'm part of the sales management for the CMS part, so the combat management system to HENSOLDT. So HENSOLDT provides a full solution of sensors, but for the French part, it's dedicated mostly on the combat management system and all IT, also for the planes. On my experience, so I come, as you said, I came from a naval experience, so I was under contract officer for 8 years. I joined the Navy in 2005. I was mostly at first officer of the watch, and I became a fighter controller, so I was working with fighter pilots as a tactical controller. And I left in 2012. I joined Nexia this time because it was the name of the company. Easily, because I was making an entry at a booth of Defense Mobility Show. It's not the same name now, but we are still have this kind of meeting between industrial and Navy or officers or Army guys that want to leave. I started, so they recruited me just for be at first operational expert for R&D project with the French DGA, and finally during the recruitment it changed as a project manager and operational expert. I wasn't sure at this time that I could do such a job because it wasn't my training, my basic training. When I joined, everything goes right, went right, sorry. I was trained for this job, helped by all the members and team people that helped me to figure out how to do my task, and so I continued to other projects, mostly to set up combat management systems. After that, because I was project manager for the first new generation of combat management system, quite naturally I became deputy product manager of the combat management system. And finally, something happened that the project manager left, and they proposed me the role. So I took it. I passed the time to learn marketing things with the help of CNAM, non-on-site training and lectures and so on, to help myself to learn something I didn't know was marketing, obviously. At the same time, in our company, the product manager is also bid manager. It's not the same everywhere, but it was the case in Nexia. So I wanted to, because I was working with sales, head of sales, I wanted to understand more how they work, like, and kind of empathy to do my job better, because I could understand better the client of all the sales. And so I followed the next year with export sales and all this kind of training. And unfortunately, the head of sales left, and they proposed me the job again. And I became and project manager and sales for the combat management systems. And now, because of the charge, I became only sales, export sales for the combat management systems in HENSOLDT. That's a sum up of what I've done and out of the Navy.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess we have maybe just some time for one question per person. First, I wanted to ask you, Mrs. FELLIN, does NATO have a diversity and inclusion plan similar to Fincantieri's DEI? And can you explain a bit about it?
Sure, and yes, indeed, we have one. This is not under my direct responsibility because this applies to our human resources part. But as gender is one of the components of the diversity, as we heard and also from our colleagues, we work closely to ensure that women's participation is increased. We have a diversity and action plan. The first one was agreed in the year 2003. So it's already some time, and the most recent one was from last year, and it will last until 2030. There are different elements that we want to take into consideration, as our colleagues already mentioned, and being an NATO, an alliance of different countries, of course, the first is about geographical diversity. But with the time, there are more factors that have become part of the diversity and inclusion plan, where gender and age come a part of this analysis. And we are extremely attentive when we do the recruitment process right now, that while being this a merit process, especially in the selection, that we make sure that we guarantee that all diversity is represented. And I have to say, because I had to do some recruitment over the past year, and that was extremely important. In my way, when it comes to the gender, I have difficulties in finding men applying for the areas of work where I, under my responsibilities, because I cover women, peace and security and human security. I attract many women on that. So my effort was to make sure that the pool of candidates was gender balanced in the other way. But then at the same, because that happens as well. But we have some divisions where it's a big problem to find just one female candidate. Defense investment being one of those, where women number is very low. Across the alliance, it's almost a gender parity, 44% of women. Some nations are more represented than others. And we also have a mechanism in place, such as training on unconscious bias for manager, but also at different level. Our plan contains 22 outcomes and 48 deliverables under 5 main pillars. And I would like to mention just the pillars. That first is leadership commitment, because without the commitment of the leadership, we know that nothing can change as part of the institutional culture. Policies for systematic inclusion, wider representation and deeper inclusion, learning and development, and assessment and reporting. So on all the different steps in all the different areas of work, from recruitment to retention and then the work, we have different training and different ways of measuring this. We have policies also against harassment and bullying. Those are most recent, and we can observe the change of culture. I think that in the past, collectively, we had a tendency of closing eyes in front of certain dynamic, and to address the problems at a later stage, when this was already maybe too late. And that's what we discussed also with Fincantieri about the importance to address this on an early stage and to build a societal and culture, institutional or also in the private sector, that really address the problems of diversity in a broader ways, to make sure that we don't reach that later stage. And that's why our action plan is also aims at. Is a work in progress, and it requires generational. It has a generational impact, I think. I mean, the diversity among generation, I think it's something that we really feel also within NATO. And I think that it's important to find the right way where this generation found the common grounds, because the way of working, the culture have changed, and we need to find our way, that it's not only into a plan, into paper, but our way into practice every day, to work together, to transfer our different skill and competences for the benefit of the organization. And on this, I think that mentoring, peer-to-peer mentoring, or you can have the vertical or the horizontal mentoring, is extremely important, and those are also programs that are in place within the alliance. for both men and women. But when it comes to my areas, I think that something I'm working on is to prepare a mentoring program for women's career on leadership, but also, you know, accompany them in the career and also open up to different possibilities outside NATO. As we know, we do not have like permanent indefinite contract as it was in the past, so mobility between private and public sector is something we should all look like for collectively. So that's also those kind of opportunities to work and exchange is very beneficial for us as well to look forward and see how we can put other initiative in place to ensure diversity in all our respective sectors.
Thank you very much. Indeed, to ensure this holistic approach about diversity, we need this cultural change, which is ongoing, as you said, and I hope that in the next years it will continue to move this way. I will also ask a question to both of you. Just to come back on what you said, Mrs. Munoz Garcia, what initiatives are you launching to recruit young people? You were mentioning that there is a challenge related to age of the staff. What are you doing in that sense?
Thank you very much for your question. Before answering the question, I would like to say that I'm very happy to hear our colleague regarding think and theory policies, because we have a lot of policies in common, like mentoring and more, much others that you said. So I'm very happy we can share ideas after the round table. But going back to your question, we are organizing events in schools and in universities so that scholars can know Navantia better, and especially not only women, but young people are going to the fairs, to university fairs, and we are showing Navantia, and this is one of our initiatives. We are offering scholarships for people in different universities and professional training as well. And we are giving talks in schools in order to increase the number of STEM vocations in girls. And I think she mentioned it too. We have many other initiatives, but I think these are the most important ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can take just 30 seconds or 1 minute answer. I'm really sorry, we're running out of time. Just can you just say, to your opinion, what skills you considered valuable when you transited to the shipbuilding industry compared to what you knew in the Navy?
Yes, I think the thing that is crucial is adaptation, because in the Navy, if you are officer or non-officer, you change job every 3 or 2 years. So it shows that you can adapt. So it's something you can find when you recruit from a Navy or Army. It's not just only Navy. This is the easiest way to adapt in a company, in a society, to change job and to learn. And you know how to learn. You're at school every 5 or 8 years. You pass by a school, whatever your rank is. So I think the adaptation is the good point of it.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick conclusion. We have seen that progress is being made across European shipbuilding industry and institutional landscape as well to foster diversity. Although there is this progress, there's still work to be done, as we have seen, particularly in achieving gender balance and creating more supportive pathways for women to advance and sustain their careers. And additionally, we have seen that incorporating diverse profiles in terms of age, in terms of operational profiles or expertise is essential for the industry's future. And by addressing these challenges, we can build a stronger workforce with enhanced problem-solving capabilities and ultimately contributing to a more resilient and innovative European shipbuilding sector. So this brings us to the end of this roundtable. Thank you very much to all of you for your attendance and participation. Thank you. This is the end.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.